Okay.
I went multiple places.
Is that the only time between, let's say, June 9th and July 15th that you ever went looking for Kaylee and or Casey?
Yes. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Because I'm being old, you don't know what all you do. Have you ever heard the word Xanax used to describe? Have you ever heard of Xanax called a Xanny?
A Xanax called a Xanny?
Yeah, is that a street slang?
I don't think I'm plugged into the street slang, to be honest.
Well,
I'm probably the last person you would ask for that.
But you've never heard of the word Xanax being used as
never heard that
as a Xanny?
I've never heard that before. Now,
or a Xanny nanny being where you take a Xanax and you pass out.
No, I've never heard that before.
Okay.
That's actually the first time I've ever heard that.
So for that month, the only time you really went was looking for either one of them was
the night of the 3rd, the morning of the 4th, yes, exactly.
To the Dragon Room.
Exactly.
And then when you didn't find her, did you continue your search for the two of them?
No, when I spoke with my mother, she said, I'll handle it. I don't need you to,
And your mother said she was speaking to her every day anyway.
Exactly. They were fighting on the phone, while I was calling my mom trying to give her updates anyway, so.
Now, and your mom, did your mom tell you where Casey was telling her she was?
No, at that point my sister was telling me and my mom that she was in Jacksonville, which I knew was wrong. I knew she was in Orlando somewhere, just based on the conversations online, so.
So you knew that was false?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me ask you let me run to something and come back here in a minute. Have you ever been to Sawgrass Apartments?
After July 15th, I went there, yeah.
Okay. Before July 15th, had you ever been to Sawgrass Apartments?
Never even heard of it. Wouldn't even have known where it was.
Did you know if Casey had ever been to Sawgrass Apartments?
Not to my knowledge. I couldn't confirm it, I want to say that she claimed that she had a friend there, like a friend that lived in that,
When did she tell you she had? When did she tell you she had a friend at Sawgrass?
Sometime in July during whether it was a phone call conversation, she was in jail, or video visitation. I mean, during that time is when, I don't want to say I interrogated my sister, but, when I would ask her, any fact-finding questions, it was during, and all that stuff has been, released at this point anyway, so.
Who was her friend at Sawgrass?
Shoot. The name eludes me. I want to say it would have been a guy instead of a girl, but I don't think it was anybody she was close to.
Did he work there or live there?
I would think live there. I don't think I ever heard of her knowing anybody that worked there.
Change tapes.
Time is 10:02. We'll go off record. Time is 10:13. We're back on the record.
We'll go back to the Dragon Room that night. When you got to the Dragon Room, you asked people, had Casey been there that night? You did not ask anybody that?
No, didn't ask anybody, no.
You just walked in and looked for her and you didn't see her?
I showed up very early with a friend of mine, and I was looking actually for anybody that I recognized, any of her friends that I would have recognized as well as her, and didn't see anybody like that.
What party did you discover was going to be going on that night? Who was having the party?
Someone that I hadn't met before, an acquaintance or someone of my sister's. It was like a birthday party or something. So, but like I said, I never heard or seen that person.
You stayed out that entire night till 4 in the morning.
About 3.
Looking for her?
Yes.
When you didn't find her, did you call your mom the next day or dad?
Oh, no, I was on the phone with my mother that night. I was on the phone with my sister later on that night.
And when you talked to
maybe midnight or so.
you spoke to Casey that night.
Yes.
And what did you say to her that night?
Where are you? Casey says, or excuse me, Mom says that you and Kaylee haven't been home. Mom wants you and Kaylee to come home, at a minimum, Kaylee to come home. Where are you? We need to meet up. We need to make this happen. And
what did she say?
I'm in Jacksonville. I said, no, you're not. You're here. You're in Orlando. I don't know if you're downtown, but you're in Orlando.
I'm getting the call from the judge.
Off the record.
Tom Luca.
It's 10:13. We'll go off record. We're back on the record. It's 10:15.
So you actually spoke to her that night around 12 o'clock?
Or so, yeah. 12 until maybe about 2 or so, yeah.
Have you ever discovered later where she was that night?
She was downtown. She was like on the other side of downtown though, because I just stayed off of, was it Church Street that all those are off of? I stayed on Church, and she was on Orange, like over probably by where like Wall Street and where those other areas
Across
are.
the street from me, right here.
Exactly.
So the night that she was telling you that she was in Jacksonville, you've learned subsequently that she was actually downtown.
Yeah, she eventually ended up admitting to me that she was downtown. So
When did she admit that to you?
August or so, when she was out.
That night, the day you had that conversation without the press and.
Oh yeah, I mean, there were, every day, we would talk, but yeah, it would have been in August. I don't think it was prior to that during any. It wasn't relevant to finding Kaylee is where she was that night. It never really came up.
After that night. That night, when you had the conversation with Casey, she said to you, I'm in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Did you say, what are you doing in Jacksonville?
I didn't use those words.
Tell me everything you talked about with her that night.
It was more just, again, saying, Mom says that that you guys haven't been home. Where are you? She wasn't willing to take my call for a while. I was trying to, Mallory ended up showing up as later on in the evening too.
Who's Mallory?
My girlfriend.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's fine. So I had her text my sister around midnight because I was getting very impatient. I'd been there for a couple hours at that point, and texted her to find out if hey, I'm downtown with a friend, what are you up to? And Casey was obviously wise to that. She'd already been tipped off that I was trying to find her. So that kind of started my sister texting back, I know you're with Lee, whatever. So that's when I started trying to call her. And when her and I talked, it took probably a huge amount of voicemail, attempts for me until she finally even called me back or picked up by accident or whatever. And it was always to leave me alone. I'm in Jacksonville. I'll be home tomorrow. What I could imagine she was telling, the same thing that she had been telling my mom. At least that's what it, after my mom gave me a quick briefing, that.
Did you tell her that night, I know you're not in Jacksonville?
Yeah, oh yeah. Point blank, I said, you're not in Jacksonville. I told her I found it on Facebook. You were going to be at Dragon Room. And, I laid it all out for her and said, I'm not an idiot.
Right.
But she kept it up and saying, nope, this is where I'm at. So.
Did you ask her that night why she left home and why she went to Jacksonville?
No, I don't think I ever asked her why, no. I can't recall that.